Hello everyone! So recently I noticed that some of the trees outside have already started to change colors, and that can only mean one thing, which is that fall is coming. And fall is my absolute favorite season, so I'm pretty excited. Fall is honestly such a great season. Like, the weather is perfect, there's so many holidays, there's so much great food, and the vibes are just perfect. So today I wanted to share some of my favorite movies that kind of encapsulate this feeling and vibe of fall. And you guys could also use these movies as a way to practice some English. And at the end of this video, I'll be sharing some really good tips for how to efficiently learn a language by watching a movie or anything like that. And I'll be sharing some of the methods that I used when I was learning Chinese a long time ago. So make sure to stick around to the end. Okay, so the first one is called Knives Out. In English, we would probably call this kind of movie a whodunit or a murder mystery kind of movie. So someone dies in the very beginning of the movie, and then you're trying to figure out who is the person responsible for his death. So it's really, really good. The story is really good. There's so many twists and turns, and it's really, really interesting to watch. But also, I just feel like this movie is so beautiful. There's so many fall colors throughout the movie, and I just can feel that like crispness in the air when I watch this movie. I don't know how, but I do. Most people in this movie speak very clearly. It's very easy to follow along, except there is one detective. He speaks English with a very strong Creole accent, so that might be kind of hard to understand, but other than that, it should be fine. So the next movie is Good Will Hunting, and this is one of my favorite movies of all time. And it also takes place in Boston. It's shot in Boston, which to me just feels like the most fall city ever. Like, it just has that kind of fall vibe in Boston. I don't know why. Maybe because the first time I went to Boston was during the fall, so maybe it's just a me thing, but it's such a beautiful movie. The story is also very touching and very moving and very interesting. It's about a guy who's a janitor at the school, and the professors realize that he's actually some kind of genius, but he doesn't really have this drive to study and work hard. So throughout the movie, he's kind of working with this therapist and trying to get past these personal problems that they have. And it's really, really touching, the kinds of conversations that they have. So I would definitely recommend this movie. One more thing about this movie is that in the movie, the actors are kind of trying to have a Boston accent, and the Boston accent isn't really that different from standard English, but some of the vowels, they'll kind of make them a little bit longer or a little bit like rounder somehow. So just pay attention to that, but really it's not that big of a deal. There's not a huge difference if you're just listening to this movie. So the next movie is Fantastic Mr. Fox, and this one might be a little bit different for some people. It's a stop motion animation movie, but it's really, really good. The story is so captivating, and there's a lot of different themes going on at once, and the characters are really complex, and you really start to care about them. And also the English in this movie is very, very clear. It's very easy to follow along with, so I definitely recommend this one. Also, the color scheme in this movie is very, very orange, and it just gives me that like warm fall vibe. So this is something I definitely rewatch like every fall to get me into the mood. So these are some movies that I would recommend if you want to get into the fall vibe, but also learn some English at the same time. And I know some people are probably thinking like, oh, I watch English movies all the time. I watch English shows all the time, but I still can't learn anything. So how is this gonna help me? I understand. Like, if you just purely watch English content while focusing on the translation, focusing on subtitles, then you're obviously not gonna learn anything and it's not gonna be that helpful. So here are some tips that I personally used when I learned Chinese that'll help you to efficiently learn a language while watching a movie. Okay, and first, I do have to say that you're gonna wanna pick a movie that you actually really enjoy watching because for this method to work, you're gonna have to repeatedly watch the same thing over and over a few times. So if you think one of the movies I recommended sounds interesting, you can give it a try, or you can also do this with a movie that you already know that you love. For the first time watching something new, you can go ahead and use the translation, use the subtitles, and just enjoy the movie. So understand the story, understand the characters, and just have fun. But it doesn't just end here. There's a lot of work to do afterwards. And this doesn't have to be all in the same day, but maybe a few days later, go back and watch the same movie only with English subtitles and no translation. And the purpose of doing this is to try and create this English environment for yourself because you already know the story, you already know what's gonna happen and what the movie's about. So this time, just really focus on English, focus on the sounds, focus on the sentences, focus on how they speak, and also just try to really get the feel of the language. Even if there are things that you don't really understand, just keep going and try to immerse yourself in the language. And the third time watching is when the real work really comes in. So for this, you can choose some of your favorite scenes from the movie and try to watch it without any subtitles at all. And just pick up on as much as you possibly can and try to understand what's going on and what they're saying. After watching a scene without subtitles, you can go back and watch it with subtitles, but this time you're gonna wanna pause after every single sentence that they say. So when you pause after each sentence, you wanna try to understand what is being said, and also you wanna repeat after whoever's talking in the movie and try to copy the way that they're saying the sentence, the feeling that they have, and also the pronunciation, of course. And if you're a visual learner like me, it also helps if you write down this sentence so it really gets engraved in your mind, and later on in real life you might use the same sentence or you might have something from the sentence that you learned and can apply it to other things in the future. And another big tip I have for pronunciation is when you're watching these movies, when you're repeating what this person is saying in the movies, pay attention to their mouth and how their mouth is moving when they talk. Because honestly, English and Chinese, there's a lot of pronunciation differences, but if you can understand what's going on in their mouth and copy that, then you're gonna be able to get a more authentic pronunciation. This is also how I learned Chinese, okay? I really paid attention to how people talked and copied the way that they talked, whether that be my teacher or someone in a movie or anything like that. This is really, really, really important. So for me, I've always felt like language is a kind of puzzle, and there may be different methods of putting the same puzzle together, but we all have to do it piece by piece. And each word that you learn, each phrase, each sentence that you understand is just one step closer to putting the whole puzzle together. Anyway, I hope these tips were helpful. They were definitely really helpful for me when I was learning Chinese, especially in the beginning. And I hope that if you watch some of the movies I recommended today, that you'll enjoy them and be able to learn some English from them as well. And to be honest, I just really love a good story. I've always been like this. I have so many movies and TV shows, books, and even games to recommend. If you guys would like more of these kinds of videos, just let me know in the comments, and I'll see you guys next time, okay? Bye bye.